Good afternoon, everybody. I am A.C.MARIAPPAN, Assistant Professor, Department of Marine Engineering. I am really happy to stand in front of you to give you a small presentation regarding workshop technology. The subject which is deal for the first semester marine students. So the first unit we can discuss about mainly for the tools and precision tools. Before that, we can say that what are the main function of workshop technology? That means the workshop technology which deals the manufacturing process, types of production system, plant layout, manufacturing and basic definitions, fundamentals of metals and alloys, inspection of metals, ferrous and non-ferrous metals, heat treatment, mechanical working, smithy, forging and welding related process. So manufacturing process full and full depend upon workshop technology. So workshop technology without we cannot go for the manufacturing process. So types of production system, because of the production system depend upon different industries varying different systems. So mass production or batch production, unit production. So different types of production systems mainly. So there's also deals in workshop technology. And layout. So if you are talking about layout, the plant layout, that means to familiarize with the industries and where the equipments and machineries which were placed in different locations. So we have to know each and every locations of machineries and equipments, tools. Otherwise, we cannot manage the time to complete the job. So for that purpose, the plant layout helpful to give you a lot of information regarding the arrangements of machineries, and also it will be also helpful to make it a safety wise of information. So the plant layout also familiarize for the senior most, for the new training, that should be familiarized with the senior persons to know about the plant layout. And manufacturing basic definitions, that is nothing but the raw material being considered at the input and the output. Finally, we can get a product. So that is the main informations. The output, that is the input, the ratio is the efficiency, that is nothing but here considered as manufacturing. And fundamental of metals and alloys also deal in this workshop technology. Because of usually the metals, if you are saying as an engineered metals, you can classify the metals in three categories with carbon based metals, that is the ferrous materials, and non-ferrous metals and alloys. So if you are saying as a ferrous metal, the content of name itself, it's clearly given the information as ferrous, the composition in the metal is the major role, and non-ferrous metal, the composition, in that composition there is no any ferrous content. So purely a non-magnetic material, that is non-ferrous metal, and alloys. So alloys either may be a ferrous alloy or non-ferrous alloy. So subdivided into two categories for the alloys. If it is a ferrous alloy, the composition along with ferrous, that is NiCrMO3 and NiCrFe3. So if we are considering this kinds of material, NiCrFe3, that is ferrous alloy, NiCrMO3, that is non-ferrous alloy. So for the welding related informations, the classification of metals and fundamentals of metals is the major role to deal the welding relevant and welding related process, because of Welding is the joining of two metals permanently. So you should be give a prolonged duration of effective joints with respect to the types of metals being rolled in the process. And inspection of metals, that is nothing but NDT. There is no destructive. We can classify the inspection metal in two categories. One is the destructive types of metals and the non-destructive types of metals. Destructive types of metals, impact testing, ISOT and CHORPY metal testing process is one of the process usually in practice for the inspection of metals. For the case of non-destructive testing, the metal will not be destroyed. The complete metal details, we have to get the information without destroy the materials. From that inspection, we can really applicably a real-time inspection in the industry, that is the non-destructive testing metals. And for us under non-ferrous metal, that's why we already discussed under heat treatment process. Heat treatment process also may consider for the material how is the mechanical properties and other relevant properties of materials is handled during the time of the process or at the workshop technology deals for the heat treatment for the quality of material being considered. So the heat treatment, if you are saying as heat treatment, hardening, surface hardening, normalizing, cyaniding, cupping, dipping, galvanizing. So a lot of the heat treatment process considered in real-time workshop technology, especially in industrial field. And mechanical working, that is the material modified into different shapes. So that is the mechanical working. Smithy and forging, that is also we have to make it the shape of material in different form and by our mold and dies. And also welding. So these are the major roles of the subject deals in workshop technology. And apart from woodworking, there is the carpentry, pattern making, powder metallurgy, pinch working, fits and limits manufacturing, system manufacturing and inspection, sheet metal works, plumbing, as well as fasteners and joints. And apart from QC, overall, that is the quality control. So woodworking, that is the carpentry, so different types of joints and how it will be prepared. Pattern making and foundry for the smithy shop, powder metallurgy to make a different shape, that is non-conformation of different shape of works that can be produced by means of the powder metallurgy. And pinch working and fittings. Pinch working and fittings is nothing but different types of vices, bench vise, lead vise, C-clamp. So different types of, these are the tools used in pinch working purpose. And fit limit and tolerance during the time of the manufacturing system on the limits, that is the upper limit, lower limit, fits, normal fit, shrinkage fit, general fit, running fit, loose running fit, surface quality. So everything it will be deals in the limits and fits, surface quality. Without limits and fits, we cannot make it the precision matching of two different components. And measurements and inspection. Measurements, so linear measurement maybe, or circular measurements, or angular measurements. Different types of the tools are involved in the measurements and inspection. Sheet metal work, the name is will clearly give you information to make all the works depend upon the sheet metals. And plumbing. So transportation of the fluid, that is the water, is in the householding things. We can use the water from the water tank to different parts of the rooms. So the plumbing works and plumbing operations, how it will be carried out really in the industrial field. And what are the tools, equipments, accessories are involved in plumbing. So that will be deal in the plumbing. Everything it will be covered in workshop technology. Fasteners and joints. If you are saying is a fasteners joint is the opposite to the welding, because of welding is the permanent metal joining process. If you are using a fasteners and joints, it will be give you temporary fasteners, temporary joints. So bolt and nut, washes, screw, and Allen keys. So these are the fasteners and fastener joints. So these all the informations we can say in one word, that is the quality control. So the quality control is the measure the output with quality, otherwise there is no use. So the quality of the output material we can be extracted from the quality of raw material and quality of the output, which is being considered in the quality control process. So common workshop tools, in the first one we can deal the common workshop tools. Steel rod, first of all, calipers, straight edge, rice bar, mice, hammers, chisels, scrapers, files, and drills. So if you are saying as a steel rod, the is a basic measuring instrument used for manufacturing at the time of to measure the linear measurements. So the measuring dimension, that is the length, width, breadth, and thickness, it can be measured by means of a steel rod. Why it's called as a steel rod? Because the material is made of steel, that is stainless steel. That's why the rule is called as a steel rule. The transformation of dimensions, that is also possible by using. We have to take the measurements, length, width or height, it will be transferred to another one part. So these are the main function of steel rule. Usually the length, what is, that is the specification. Here we can say the minimum 150 mm and maximum. In our workshop we can use it up to 600 mm. So that is the specification of steel rule. That is a minimum measurement that is possible in case of the steel rule is 0.5, because the division in between the two adjacent line is considered as a 0.5 mm. So that is the least count. So that means this is the minimum distance that can be measured by means of a steel rule. That is the least count. Consider every measuring tools have a least count, that is called as the LC. That LC, that means of a least count, it will be give a small information to us. That is the minimum distance that can be measured by means of which types of tools we are using. So this is the precision information we can get from the least count. If the least count is very minimum, that means the tool is also considered as a precision measurement. So we can see the steel, it may be a mm, that is the millimeter of dimension, centimeter of dimension in a unit, or in MK system, it may be inches. So if you are considering 150 mm, that is 6 inch of steel rule is the minimum measurement dimensionally available in market to measure the off-it distance. And the graduation is more, as I told you, the division between the two adjacent line is 0.5 mm. So yeah, long line and one short line is a 0.5 mm of distance, and long line to long line we consider as a 1 mm distance. The steel rule, apart from other, we can take it for a very lengthy measurement is possible means of a folding rule. We can fold it and keep it as a feet or 1 feet of height is transferable to one place to another for measuring of very lengthy measurements. The folding rule and also is possible to keep it very easy to lift from measuring of a lengthy dimension by means of a measuring tape. So that is also available. And measuring method, how to measure the method, because of the error. Usually two types of error will be happen during measuring. One is positive error and a negative error. If it is a positive error, the dimension, what is the actually we measure it from the object, it give you additional information. That's why we have to need to minimize the how much of the error being occurred. And if it is a negative error, the dimension of the actual object is being considered as a minimum quantity. That means the error occurred in the measuring method by the measuring tool. So, if whether may be a positive error or negative error, the error should be avoidable, or otherwise we cannot get a precision information. The precision information of the measuring dimension is being considered by the application as well as the handling methods. So our sight vision usually 150 mm minimum distance and maximum of 300 mm distance is the vision sight is considered to oblique vision to measure any kinds of objects as you see in the picture. So dimension of your linear measurements consider with the leaving of certain distance from the beginning because of by using continuously the edge of the rule may be damaged. So the damage it will lead or create a positive error or rather maybe a negative error. So if it is a positive error, we can minus the dimensions how much it is positive. If it is a negative error, how much of the dimension is negative, we need to add with the basic dimension. The basic dimension is nothing but the actual dimensions considered from to where. And how much of the error it will be considered, whether it accordingly with or whether with respect to the dimension which is considered at the beginning. So usually a good practice we can left 10 mm distance at the beginning. After that, because of any kinds of error, there may be a positive error or a negative error, it will be left out at the beginning. So that 10 mm distance that can be left out and it will be considered for the measuring at the first or beginning stage of the measuring method. So that is one of the measuring method to avoid any kinds of positive or negative error. And the next tool is a calipers. And calipers main to function transfer the dimension, compare the dimensions. So where other instruments cannot be used directly, that we can use a calipers. So calipers is nothing but a two leg with your sharp edge. That leg it will be measure what you want to take a measuring. You can keep one leg at the beginning and another one leg at the end of the object to measure and transfer the measuring dimension, measure the dimension to the steel rule. So caliper is an indirect measuring instrument. Different types of calipers are used in industry. Inside caliper, outside caliper, spring type caliper, hammer product caliper, and Jenny calipers. So first we can see outside caliper. The outside caliper, two bent legs is joined with a spring and one screw, lead screw, and with a adjusting nut. So this is a parts of outside caliper. There is one spring is at the head, two legs with bowed condition with a short edge. These are joined together by means of a lead screw and nut. So if you rotate the nut, how much of the distance it will be traveled on the lead screw? This is the dimensions we consider in between the two legs. So outside caliper, we can measure the outside diameter of any circular shafts, whether maybe a hall shaft or solid shaft. Only we can check the outside condition of the dimensions. That means diameter. So by the diameter, if you divide, we can get a radius of the shaft. You can see here in these types of calipers and pliers. Parts of caliper we discussed, and combination calipers also some of the calipers, that means inside and outside. In the combination calipers, I want to tell you the inside caliper, that is what we discussed is the outside caliper, that is used to measure the dimension of the outside object. If you want to measure the inside, that is the hollow shaft, you want to measure the inside diameter of your hollow shaft, you can use it here. inside caliper. Inside the caliper, the legs are bowed outward. That means this is the simple observations from the leg. If the legs are bowed inside, that is the outside caliper. If the legs are bowed outside, that is the inside caliper. We can measure the inside diameter. Jenny caliper, if it is the caliper is nothing but one leg is straight and another one leg is here, bowed inward or outward, either maybe. So that is also helpful to check some floors, room, recess, such kinds of the dimensions that can be measured by means of a Jenny caliper. So that can be visible in the objects in the picture. And combination of inside and outside caliper is also one of the type of caliper. Combined together, we can measure the outside dimension as well as the inside dimension, both are at the same time. Then divider, that is also one of the measuring device used indirectly. That's why this divider is called considered in indirect measuring device. Both legs are straight and harden the points. So divider, we can main function of the divider to divide the dimension in equal parts, or you can equally break the length by our required or by our desired dimensions. So that is the function of divider. The next one, in workshop technology, the punch. There are three main punches are there. And the punch is nothing but a marking tool. It comes under a marking tool. Before that, what we discussed, everything is a measuring tool that is maybe used to measure the object directly or measure the dimension indirectly, depend upon. That is the measuring tool. But here, the punching tool is a marking tool, comes under the category of a marking tool, used to mark and construct the layouts. So different types of punches are there: brick punch, dot punch, center punch, hollow punch, and pin punch. Brick punch, usually 30° of leg. That is the not a leg; it is a dip. The tip point having a 30° of angle is a brick punch. If it is a 60°, that punch is considered as a dot punch, and a 90° angle of dip is considered as a center punch. Hollow punch, make it a hollow in a rubber or leather, and pin punch to make a hole in the shaft metals or sheet metals. So we can see one by one different types of punches. The angle of punch is 30°, used to mark it on sheet and sheet metals. And brick punch, this punch you can see that tip angle is a 30° having with the head. The punch cannot be used directly. You can use it with any types of punches. It is used along with hammer. So hammer is considered as a striking tool. Punch is a marking tool. So marking and striking tools come together. You can use it for our purpose. That dot punch having a 60° of angle used to make a dot or layout marking on a flash and dots. For marking purpose, dot punch, the angle of tip is 60°. Then center punch. The point angle is 90°, used to locate the center point while running your operations. Then use it to avoid the mislead of for the drill bits and to act as a pilot informations. For the time of the making drills, the hole it should be oriented along with the axis with the machine spindle. So the machine spindle axis as well as the drill bit center axis should be coincided and it properly piloted. That means it should properly guided by means of a center punch. So the center punch, that's why it's named as center, to make a hole as a center. That's why the punch is considered as a center punch. And hollow punch, make it a round hole on a shaft metal, rubber and leather. So pin punch, you having a lengthy leg, with your cutting corners to make a pass on your sheet metals, or it make a small hollow, not a hollow, to make a small hole on your sheet metal. And also it will be helpful to use for alignments of holes at two different mating locations. That pin punch you can see in the pictures. Usually the pin punch is used for making a hole on shaft metals or leather or wearing belts. The holes can be also prepared by means of a pinch punch. Then dome punch, that is used to alignment of this, also make it for the alignment, and also for the shaft metals to make an impression, that is some surface depression that can be formed by means of a dome. A dome shape is at the head will helpful to make it different spear shape of informations can be found on the sheet metals or shaft metals. Then next one is letter punch. In this case, this is also a marking device. There are two types of punches in this case. One is letter punch and another is number punch. Letter punch A to Z, number punch 0 to 9. So we can make it or engrave different names or letters and dimensions, everything is possible by means of letter punch and number punches. Then another one marking tool is a scriber. So the scriber is a device which is used to scribe the dimensions or scribe the lines on a sheet metal especially. And scribe is a hand tool used in the metalworking to mark lines on the workpiece prior to the machining. It is used to instead of pencil or ink, because of we cannot be used a pencil and ink. It cannot be retained for a prolonged durations. If you are using to mark on a metal surface by means of a pen or pencil is not possible. So in such cases, the scribe is a device which is used to mark a scribing lines on the shaft metals and is a permanent marking. So we can be making these dimensions of a linear marking on the required dimensions of whether maybe a curved or a linear dimension is possible, but for the purpose of marking by means of a scriber. So scriber is a device used to marking commonly along with a contrast marking lines, because it is not possible to visualize the marking location on the metal surface is not possible by bad eye because of the surface, whether we cannot say that the surface is being a smooth or a rough surface. So if it is a rough surface, the scribe lines is not possible to visualize our naked eye. So for that purpose, you can make it a contrast surface by means of a marking blue or chalk coating over the surface. After drying, we can use the scribe to make a record dimensional shape and sizes for prior to the. That means it is a proactivity for the machining operations. And scriber, it may be a steel, that means it may be a hot steel and hardened and tempered at the tip because of the wearing off or wearing off, that means wearing off or wear out is how to minimize, because the tip is sharp. If you are using metal to metal, the surface of the tip may be weird, so it can be avoided by means of hardening process. The hardening process is also one of the workshop technology process happened in the manufacturing method of quality. How to improve the defects, how to improve the quality of the product by minimize the defects. So some scribes and spines at both ends, it is used to draw the points over the surface of the workpiece to leave a shallow or scratch on the surfaces. Scribers, straight scriber, bent scriber, leg scriber, and null hold on scribers, some types of different scribers we can see in the picture. So my dear students, I can close our session because of lot of information in the opportunities. If it is available, we can see in the next class the continuation of another marking course. Thank you.